My name is Jacinta Yelland, and I play the Little Prince in The Little Prince. And how did this all begin? I was just thinking about this the other day, actually, that my parents made me dance when I was little because my feet rolled in. And so I started doing ballet to try and get them to roll out. So I guess I've been performing since I was really, really tiny, mainly just dance. I went to a new school in grade 6 that had drama, and that's when I started to do drama. And I really liked it. And I kept being in all the productions, but I was just trying to decide, would I be a doctor like my dad or an actor and pretend to be a doctor? And I thought the pretending would be easier. I'm not sure about that anymore, just because it's so different, and well, we all know what it's like to be an actor and have things not be always set in stone. But I went and studied that, but I didn't get into any of the acting degrees, like the straight hardcore acting. But I got really, really sad about that. I was really young, I was only 18. But all the other people who didn't get into acting, but instead got into drama, like the drama degree, were really cool because we all didn't get into acting, so we banded together and started to create like really interesting devised work. And that's when I started moving into devised theatre and physical theatre. So I went and studied in England for a year, actually, and that's where I started to do more Lecoq pedagogy. And then I came back to Australia and worked with a company called Zen Zen Zo and really got into physical theatre and devised work. And that's where we did like Suzuki and Viewpoints. And I learnt about Simon McBurney from Complicité, and I was like, I want to be like Simon. And he studied with Philippe Gaulier, so I went to Paris. I got a grant to go to Paris and I studied with Philippe, and it was amazing. I lived in Paris for a year and learned how to be a clown and how to use my body. And then I came back to Australia. I went to Melbourne. I moved from the north to the south and almost stopped doing all of that and tried to be a film actor, which was kind of a bit weird because like I feel like film is all here and I was all body. And so I got an agent when I went over to Los Angeles for a short film that got into a festival there, and then started auditioning for like big films and TV and got nothing, like absolutely nothing. And started to really miss my like physical theatre devised roots. Felt like the industry in LA was less collaborative and more aesthetic, and I missed the connection with humans and creating together. So a friend of mine was like, go to Pig Iron Theatre Company in Philadelphia and you'll love it. Do a short course, see how you like it. They also do a 3-year MFA. So I came over and did the 3-week course. It was everything I'd done with Philippe Gaulier, but now that I was like 30, and as opposed to 24, I actually understood everything. And so it got deeper for me, and I was like, this is what I love. I love moving my body. I love creating on my feet. I love working with other people. And they offered me a position in the MFA program, which meant we'd have to move from LA to Philadelphia like in a week. And we were like, not quite yet. But a year later I came and I moved to West Philadelphia for the trees. And I did a year at Pig Iron, which was incredible. And then my husband was like, let's buy a house. And he was like, let's go out to Mount Airy. And I'm like, oh, where's Mount Airy? And so we came out and I'm like, this is so beautiful. There's so many trees and the people are wonderful, and there's the Wissahickon and there's Germantown Ave. And so we came out here, we bought a house just 3-4 blocks up from the Cedric, from Quintessence. And I've never regretted moving up here. It's the neighborhood is it's just so beautiful. The people are so friendly and welcoming. We have like really good friends here now that we just met from like walking our dog. And I work at Quintessence, I can just walk here. Yeah, and this is what is this? I did One Man, Two Governors, just a teeny role, audience planned. And then I did The Little Princess online during COVID. And then I did Skin of Our Teeth filmed, so online-ish. And then this is probably my first real show, The Little Prince, with Quintessence, on the stage, with real audience, being in front of me. So this has been really fun. Yes, I haven't done like scripted plays for a while, so it was a really good challenge for me to work out how do I keep the aliveness from my devised work into something that is technically set in terms of the text. And I think what helped was Kyle's direction. He allowed us to play a lot, and he didn't he wasn't too strict with when we did flub the lines, just so we could find the play and the root of the character and the relationships, and then we would go back and make sure, is this what the text is saying, and are we saying what the writer wanted us to say and the audience to hear. But I think the biggest part was, Kyle and the playfulness of the ensemble, and just being allowed to explore on stage. Because if I get too heady, I lose connection of my body and it becomes less fun for me. So another way I came into it was like, how does this alien boy move? Which I normally move very fast and sporadically, and the Little Prince for me is the complete opposite. Very still, listening, curious, but just like taking everything in, and everything moves around him. So this was a really big challenge for me because it was so text heavy and he was still. But it was a good challenge because then I was like, well, this is the devised bit where I'm like, these are my prompts for creating this world. And so how do I be still and listen but still be alive? And how do I find the text from my body? When I came to the audition, it was the first time I was like, you know what? I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to follow my instincts and not think what do the auditioners want from me? Like trying not to be perfect and fit what I think they wanted. So I came in and I was like, okay, what's the accent? And I was in all the recordings of the songs, the boy had an American accent, and I'm like, I just don't think it is American, because to me, how I hear Americans is that they know everything. Like the way their confidence. I was like, oh, you already know. I don't know if you're as curious as this little boy would be. You already like own the space. So I was like, I don't think it's that. And I mean that in a complimentary way to the American accent. But I was like, well, what if I actually went a little British. And I just did it because I was like, didn't want to have my voice, my Aussie voice, even though mine's not too Aussie, because it's been like neutralized from learning American and playing with English accents. But yeah, I just came in with this like Britishy accent because it was fun, and I feel like it was a very curious, like always asking questions. And I did that, and Kyle never said anything about it until maybe a few days into rehearsal, and I'm like, how are you doing with this accent? I can change it. And he did say to me, I believe, no, that's why we cast you, because you came in with this proposal. Yeah, so it was kind of a choice I made based on like where his curiosity lied. Yeah, there was a bit of pressure because people read the book and then they have this expectation of what they want it to be or how they imagined it to be. Also, the drawings are so beautiful and they capture this little creature in a way that you're like, oh, how do I be that? So yeah, there was a little like, oh, how am I gonna honor this character that is beloved by so many people? And then I just had to like breathe. And I purchased the book and looked at the paintings, the little drawings, and I tried to like capture some of the, like how he sat, how he stood, so that could inform how my body was on stage, which again made me be very still, which is really uncomfortable for me because I like to move, but it seemed really right because he was just sitting there, standing there, listening and observing. So the drawings were very helpful. And what else? That was a very key thing. And I remember Alex one day came to me and was like, there's a beautiful picture of the prince with like this robe and a sword, I think. And he's very princely, but also like kid prince. And he was like, where does that live in with you? Where does that little prince live within you? And that was really helpful in terms of like, oh, I'm a prince. I have a planet, but I'm also a kid. So there's all these like juxtaposing states and feelings that I was playing with. And so then in the end, I just had to follow that rather than, oh, what is everyone going to think? Which always comes into your mind. You're like, oh, what's everyone going to think? And I doubted myself for a while in rehearsals when I was like, am I not moving enough? I don't think I'm moving enough. But I think the stillness works to amplify the times when I do move. I came into this going, I'm not a singer. I sing. I can sing and hold a tune, I think. And I've sung on a lot of my husband's commercials, usually as young boys. Or they're like, doo, in the background. So when I came in to the audition, I was like, what have I got to lose? Like, I saw the people I was auditioning with and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're such incredible singers. I'm just gonna go in and play. So it was a delight and a semi-surprise to be like, oh, I got the role. Then when I looked at all the songs I had to sing, which is like 7, and most of them are solos, I was like, oh, this is a heavy singing role. Yeah, if I'm honest, I was very nervous, especially being around people who have trained to do this, who like went to school for musical theatre, who are professional singers. But Kyle and Luke and the whole team, but Kyle and Luke were always like, no, we cast you because of your voice. That whether it's because it's not perfect or it breaks sometimes or it's delicate or raw, I've heard people say, it's because of that and not because it's operatic and musical theatre-y. So I have to tell that to myself from time to time, to be like, you're here because you auditioned and the sound they want is your sound. And there are days where I just to really try to enjoy it, the fact that I get to sing, I get to I get paid to sing on this beautiful stage with beautiful people and an audience. And so the days where I can just really enjoy that and not critique myself while performing is so enjoyable, because the songs are just so fun. And so when I have fun with it, I think I actually do a better performance. But so in short, I don't know. It's really hard. I still find it hard to call myself a singer, even though I just sing on stage for 2 hours. So, yeah, I guess I'm a singer with a particular voice. So I created a one-woman show called Koala, K-O-A-L, Koala, directed by Trey Lyford. It's about the 2019 Australian bushfires through the perspective of a baby koala, a coal miner, and an Indigenous girl, which is actually based on my grandmother's story. And it just explores the effects of these fires and the loss of home and what that means when home is erased. And it's very physical, it's interactive, and one-woman show, and it's coming to New York City. It's going to Ars Nova on January 20th at 7:30 p.m. for one night only. It's pay what you wish. I really hope you all come and see it, because I think it's a pretty cool show. Very devised. It's created from scratch. It premiered at the Philadelphia Fringe Festival in 2003 and won the 5-star award. And this is one night iteration of it again, and then in May it'll tour to Australia for 2 weeks. And Emmy Parker's coming with me, who did wardrobe for The Little Prince. She's my stage manager. So we'll take it to Australia, which will be really interesting to have an Australian audience as opposed to an American audience, and we'll see if it hits there. But yeah, Ars Nova, 20th of January, 7:30. Come see Cole. Yeah. It only runs for 4 more days. Come and see it. It's really magical, really uplifting, and it's a favorite story of all time. Please come and see it before it ends. You only have a few more chances to see this beautiful musical.